This is a review of my Scott Genius after like 10 months. And it's been holding up. It's been pretty good. So let's just cut right to it. So this bike comes stock with the X Fusion shock in the rear and a Marzocchi Bomber Z2 in the front, and comes with an NX drivetrain with SX cranks, and it comes stock with like Shimano MT200s or something like that. I don't know the model name. I'm probably going to have to look at that and link it in the description. But it's been working good for me. Ever since I put the tires on, I really haven't had much of a big problem. But I took this thing to Asheville. I rode Burn Park and I crashed on clickbait. That screwed this bike over. It completely screwed it up. So basically what happened is I screwed up my linkage. I screwed up the twin lock on it. Since it's a Scott, it comes with twin lock. And I screwed it up badly. I'm still waiting for the lever to get in though. But messed it up badly. The frame is held up good. It's not really that bad. Framework's good, and it's actually one of the more robust frames I've had since I've had a Trek 820, and it's the only mountain bike I've had. But this is my first full suspension, and I am thinking about upgrading to Santa Cruz Nomad. Any suggestions on that, on how to do it? But the thing is, put Michelin Wild Enduros on here. Since the stock tires got flats quite frequently, and shout out to Rebound Adventure Cycles in Greencastle. Mark hooked me up with some good pair of Michelin Wild Enduros and Vittoria tire inserts. So those have been working really well. And I put on some Crank Brothers Stamp 2s on the bike. It's my second pair of pedals I've gone through with this bike, and still have not changed out the seat yet. And I am also looking to change out these handlebars since I'm starting to grow out of this bike. It's not really the stack height isn't really changeable since the fork is already at a set length. So the handlebars are thin. I'm gonna have to change on them, and I'm probably gonna put DD black labels on them or something like that. But put on the ODI grips, ODI Elite Pros, pretty good. Tried on Ergons for my dad's bike, and they were super nice. The GA2s are pretty nice, so thinking about getting those. But this is sort of a main bike you'd want, sort of getting into flow, sort of getting into downhill parks. But I don't know if you're going to be able to get it with how bikes are these days. But it's worked out good. Shifting's nice, like the SRAM, like the Shimano brakes. It's worked out pretty well for me. But thing is, the suspension needs tuned up a little bit more because it's a different damper and from the 36, not the 36, but the 34. But the 34 is basically Fox 34 with a different damper. For dust seals and stuff, you'd want to put 34 and all that. But it's worked out pretty well with me, so still haven't had to service it yet. So it's worked good, really good. And one thing I do have to say is if you crash, the twin lock lever is going to get messed up. But this is not really like something you need to worry about since you don't really need to use it that much. And honestly, I don't really use it since I only ride downhill pretty much. So it's pretty nice to have when you're climbing, but not really used that much. But then, as we head over to the rear end, we got the synchronous Duncan dropper. Worked out pretty well. It works really nicely. And crankset, I've already said this, SRAM NX, SRAM SX, SRAM NX, but it's worked out really well. It's a very good budget drivetrain option. The GX is a little bit more high-end, which you get the lightness for, but I think I'd say the best overall value for this, for like a budget build or something like that, I'd probably say an NX, since it is priced around $400 for the full group set, but it works well. And one thing to note about the linkage on here is these are bushings and not bearings. So you kind of, because you kind of got to look at that to see if you can get the right tuning set up. You don't want to take that to a shop and let them find that out for themselves, which I've done quite a lot of times. But one thing to note is sometimes these can get stripped. Now, I don't really have a problem with it since I've kept them up, but I've heard from multiple people that that just any linkage bearing or bushing can get stripped. But this thing has worked well for me. It's pretty good on the flow trails. And if you want to if you want to start pushing your limits on jumps, this thing is pretty good for you too. But one thing I would recommend is probably something weird for me, because I just got this bike like a year ago, is I would probably suggest upgrading to a higher end bike in probably a year. I learned this about it too, since I've been riding this thing for about a year, and I'm starting to notice some of its flaws. So yeah, it's one of the better frames you can get for $2,500, but you never know when people can't get it in. It gets annoying sometimes because it just happens, you know? Well, I hope you enjoyed this, and it was a pretty long-running review, but hopefully you liked the review. Stay shredding. So, Editor Cindy here. As you can see from the whole rebound thing, shout out to you, Marlon, too. Forgot to mention you in the video. You've worked on my bike multiple times and you've got it just right. And I will be linking all the parts that I have bought in the description. So if you're looking to get a pair of Michelins, I highly recommend it. You will not lose traction for like a year. It's been holding up well. I've been running Michelin Wild Enduro's front in the front and rear. So that's probably why I haven't been losing a lot of traction lately. And just letting this get out there. Sometimes if you do go to the park, the fork or the headset may get a little creaky. And I've had problems with that twice when I went to Blue and Bryce. But other than that, it's a pretty good bike. All the pedals and tires and inserts and all that will be linked in the description with the Worldwide Cyclery link. And I really hope you enjoyed the review, and see you later.